Stevenson Avenue extension project. Obviously here with the Deputy Premier and Minister for Transport, Rita Saffioti, but also great local members, David Michael and Dan Pastorelli. And we're here at the project today to talk about the great work that we will be funded under the 2025-2026 budget. One of our major infrastructure projects is here that will be doing extraordinary work in alleviating congestion in this local area, as well as freeing up land for further development, including higher density residential development. The new road we're standing on here today and the additional freeway on-ramps and off-ramps will open in the third quarter of this year. Stevenson Avenue first, Cedric Avenue second. It will make such a huge contribution. And as David Michael, a former councillor from the City of Stirling, has attested this morning, this has been talked about for over 40 years. And my WA Labor government is the government that will be delivering it for the people of Western Australia. So I can't think of a better backdrop than this to make a major funding announcement that will help continue to make the lives of Western Australian commuters and road users easier, especially for those that live, work and run a business or travel through the northern suburbs. Western Australia's economy is the strongest in the nation and the fastest growing population in Australia, with an enviable jobs market. And we are committed to supporting that economic and population growth through investing in housing, health and of course transport. So that no matter where you live in WA, you can enjoy the highest standard of services and infrastructure that many of us should expect. That's why I'm delighted to announce today Perth's Northern Roads Package. This package will invest more than $100 million in the upcoming 2025-2026 budget to upgrade key roads in our northern suburbs. And we all know that the northern suburbs is home to some of our hottest congestion hotspots. And this major investment will go a long way to addressing those. In particular, the intersection at Erindale Road and Reed Highway, which is rated as the worst congestion hotspot in the state. This funding package is headlined by an initial $70 million allocation to upgrade the intersection by creating grade separated interchange. A total of $225 million will be allocated by the state government over the life of that project, along with a matching contribution of $225 million from the federal government. Perth's Northern Roads Package also includes $35.9 million for a program of works to deliver a range of intersection upgrades on Wanneroo Road, including additional right turning lanes and undertaking left turning modifications as well, and the widening of the median of Hepburn Avenue to enable a double right turn. The package will also provide funding for intersection upgrades in Morley and Craigie. The Northern Roads Package is just one of a major set of commitments in the upcoming 2025-2026 state budget that will help improve and transform our roads. It's proof that my government is focused on and committed to the things that matter for the people of Western Australia, and we are delivering for WA. And now I'll hand you over to the Transport Minister, Rita Saffioti.
Thank you very much. As the Premier outlined, this upcoming state budget will see the commencement of works and planning for the Reed-Erindale interchange. It also will see the commencement of works to improve key intersections across Wanneroo Road. In relation to the northern suburbs, we continue to see significant growth in the population along the corridor. It is something that we continually monitor and make sure we continue to invest to support families living in the Northern Corridor. We've undertaken a lot of work so far. Of course, we opened the Yanship Rail extension. We've also done the freeway extension, freeway widening, the introduction of smart freeways, and of course, the Stevenson Avenue project. This project is really to unblock the congestion around this Osborne Park area. And as a Premier outlined, a key part of the overall vision for this project is, of course, the releasing of land, the creation of new housing lots. So this will not only be a new road network, but also a new housing precinct. The City of Stirling, as the Premier outlined and as Minister Michael very much knows, that the City of Stirling has long held aspirations to create a significant community hub around this precinct. And so as part of the work that we're doing, we're creating the housing lots that will be ready for future housing and future developments. This is part of our infrastructure delivery. When we're delivering road and rail, we're not only looking at the road network, but how we can create future lots to support new housing. As the Premier outlined, the bridge is almost complete, and of course we've done that through the incremental launch method. Every driver going up and down this freeway would have seen that bridge coming across the freeway, and now we'll be completing these works, and this area will be open by the third quarter of this year. So big day, big announcements in relation to our commitments in the budget. Reed Arundel will take about 2 years of planning. We'll have to go through detailed planning, environmental approvals to then be able to start the project. In the meantime, other key road projects that are underway, of course, include the finalisation of this project, but also the work for the Tonkin Highway extension. And of course, we'll also be soon releasing updates on Reed Drumpelia and Reed Altone, and also the Tonkin Highway interchanges that are also going to be built out at Hale and Welshpool. Any questions?
Just wondering with regard to the housing projects around it, and the Premier used the word high density. I'm wondering how high. I'm also wondering how long it'll take for the housing to pop up, and whether that has been a bigger challenge than first thought in 2017, when there was a lot of talk about housing around key transport projects. Yeah,
I'd very much say that, of course, the cost of delivering apartment buildings has changed significantly over the past 5 years. That's why we've been partnering with the Commonwealth through things like the HAF funding program, where the state and the Commonwealth work together to build apartment buildings, which are then run by the community housing sector, which then provide affordable and social housing to the community. We're looking at an entire range of methods to deliver that multi-unit outcome. For example, we've got the Infrastructure Development Fund, which is out there, and that was released a couple of years ago to support the infrastructure headworks costs to support apartments, and we've seen thousands of apartments being given the green light under that project. We've got working with the Commonwealth. We're also looking at Key Start too in shared equity and the Commonwealth's right to buy scheme. That's another measure that we'll be looking at in this budget that the Commonwealth's already announced, and that's where Key Start and the Commonwealth Government, for example, would work to produce the housing supply and then partner with young Western Australians to buy their first home. So there's all these different new measures that we're introducing, acknowledging the point that you made.
What's more urgent, bolstering housing around train stations in the north here, or a few months ago we were at Midland train station, you're announcing housing there. Which area is more urgent to be building housing around train stations?
Well, basically any train station with housing is a good thing, because we're not only looking at affordable housing, it's affordable living. And what every key country around the world will tell you the same, that where you can build residential near train stations or near transport hubs, you're delivering incredible outcomes for the community. So it's not only affordable housing, it's affordable living. And Western Australia, as we continue to grow, as we have population growth, as we have more and more people wanting to either downsize or young people wanting to enter the market in a smaller apartment, we have to look at how we can support those aspirations. What building apartments or building homes near train station gives you is affordable living, and that means an ability to use a very cost-effective, very cheap public transport system and really save money each year. I think the estimates are that if you can basically reduce your car dependence, you're saving thousands of dollars each year, and that's something that we're very keen to encourage.
Has the priority order sort of flipped in the past decade, where the criticism of Ellenbrook was that the housing was built before the infrastructure? Now we seem to have gone the other way. The infrastructure's been built before the housing.
I think what we've done and what we've done over this period of time is made sure that suburbs aren't stranded. I remember watching the Ellenbrook debate for many years, as people are aware. And some people were saying, well, we shouldn't build a rail line there because Ellenbrook shouldn't have been built. Or we shouldn't be building a rail line to Yanchep because people shouldn't be buying there. It's just a ridiculous assertion. So this whole idea of stranding commuters or stranding residents, it's just false and wrong.
It's been a deliberate choice to build the infrastructure first and then the housing next.
So it's a deliberate choice to build the infrastructure as a suburb grows, because what it does, it allows families from day one to create a lifestyle choice. So people can choose to buy a house near a train station. They can choose how many cars they have. They may choose where they choose to work. They may choose where their children go to school or university, or where they get jobs. So it gives people certainty when they move in. And that, I think, helps families manage their budgets over the longer term.
Well, we've got, just divide this up. So while we've got you here, the housing report that's out today, rents that people can't afford, 7,000 rental homes short. We need to be building 4,000 homes a year. And none of those targets are being met, and it's a bit of a basket case now, isn't it?
Oh, our housing supply has increased dramatically. So I think our housing completions hit 23,000 at the end of the last year, and that's a record from over 7 years. So that's a 7-year high. And it's also why we are doing all we can to create innovative products, whether it be affordable rental programs through the community housing sector, supporting more shared equity, looking at what the Commonwealth's doing in Right to Buy. We're actually delivering a whole range of initiatives that didn't exist 10 years ago. And what we're doing is deliberately targeting high volume product and working through things like the Housing Australia Fund, new measures to try and increase supply. We know that housing supply is a key priority for the community, and we're making sure it's a key priority for us.
So everything's okay, is it?
Oh, well, we've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of work to do, and we're working through that, and we're delivering new measures, new policies and new subsidies to support more housing.
Are you worried about a budget backlash when people feel the impact of power bill increases without the relief of a power bill credit this year?
First of all, the Commonwealth Government, of course, has a credit that will be rolling through the state energy utilities. Look, we've made it very, very clear in relation to our election that we'll be delivering our election commitments, and those election commitments was to ensure that that utility charges didn't increase more than CPI. We've got a very, very strong budget. It's a budget that's built on creating jobs and opportunities for Western Australians and making sure we continually grow jobs and opportunities, because we know Western Australians have seen enormous jobs growth, over 340,000 new jobs since we were elected, and we will continue to focus on growing the economy.
The public drop-in sessions start today for Burswood Park. Consultants prepared for some potentially fiery comments from locals who are planning to attend?
We just hope the sessions are done in a cordial and respectful way. We have public servants that are there. We don't expect there to be any aggro or any disrespect. This is about people learning about the project. There's a lot of misinformation out there saying it's a permanent motorplex, which it isn't. So it allows people to find out about the proposal and also provide their feedback. In particular, and as we move around, more and more people are interested in seeing what they can get out of this new precinct. For example, whether it be wheelchair basketball, for example, and a number of different sports, which currently are looking for homes. So we're really looking to engage to see how we can make it as multi-use as possible, and also to make sure the disinformation or the lack of the wrong information that's been out there is corrected.
Not a permanent motorplex, but the bitumen will be there permanently. Like, you can't, that's not movable. The bitumen's there, that's permanent.
And can be used for things like cycling, wheelchair sports, Paralympic sports.
So to say it's not a permanent motorplex is a bit disingenuous with respect. I mean, the bitumen's there permanently.
It's not a permanent motorplex.
But the infrastructure's there permanently.
No, a motorplex is a drag strip. It's what is in Kwinana. And to say that it's a permanent motorplex, that there'll be motor sports there all around the year is actually wrong.
But the flex bit will be there permanently, just not the motor.
It's not a.
The infrastructure's there
It's not a.
permanently.
Can I just say this again? It's not a motorplex, and anyone that tries to say it's a motorplex is being misleading.
Is that a commitment that there'll only be one race per year? Are you committed to that and happy to put that on record?
Yeah, that's what we've committed to in relation to supercars. Yes.
Can I just ask straight up, the power assistance, are you taking that away this budget?
Well, all the information of the budget will be released next week, next Thursday. As I said, we made commitments at the time of the state budget in relation to energy and water increases. I'd also say that currently we're rolling out, of course, the student assistance payment. I think the latest records are over 230,000 families in Western Australia have accessed that payment, and we encourage people to continue to access that payment.
But you won't say in regards to the power subsidy?
As I said, the budget will be released next Thursday.
But the net effect of weaning off the power bill credits is a 50% increase in one hit, effectively. That will hit families hard because they don't see it coming.
I'm not going to discuss hypotheticals, and as I said, the budget's next week. And the key point is there's reports that keep coming out, but nothing has been, confirmed by the state government.
Is that the risk of these across-the-board cost of living measures that have been used in the past few years, that at some point you've got to turn the tap off, and that inevitably the compounded impact of that feels bigger to families?
Well, as I said, there's a lot of cost of living assistance that's being rolled out, and currently over 230,000 families have applied for the student assistance payment, and that's the current cost of living initiative that is being rolled out right now.
But there's no more in the budget?
I won't speculate any further.
You've got a very strong budget, though. You just told us.
I won't speculate.
But you're telling, all of this stuff you're telling us about that's in the budget, why not just give us a yes or a no?
As I said, I won't speculate any further.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much, Minister. Any other questions?
Just ask you on a major national issue, AUKUS.
Yeah.
The subs are due to be built here, or supposed to be built here. The government's done a hell of a lot of work in terms of preparations for upgrading the base at HMAS Stirling.
Yes.
Are you alarmed by this US announcement that they're going to review AUKUS?
Well, I'll refer and echo the comments made by the Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles this morning, which says that they're not surprised, and indeed we're anticipating that the Trump administration would be reviewing the program. It's the same thing that the UK Starmer Labor administration undertook. But we know that the Trump administration is committed to the principles of AUKUS, which is making sure that we have stronger military presence and forward bases in relation to the Asia Pacific, which means Stirling will continue to play an important role, and also means that we'll be sharing supply chains in relation to the manufacture and construction of nuclear vessel capability. Because of that, we are confident that the principles of AUKUS will remain in place. Now, there's going to be a review that was anticipated and not unexpected, but we expect that the principles will remain in place.
In light of recent events, though, does it make you nervous that this conversation has emerged?
Oh, well, look, as I said, it wasn't unanticipated, but we are watching that space very closely. The other element of our part in the AUKUS partnership is rock solid, and that is the federal government's commitment to base frigate and other surface vessel construction at Henderson. That will continue to be an important part, and obviously we want to be able to see ultimately nuclear subs be sustained and maintained in Western Australia, moving forward to eventually Australian crude subs. But we just need to wait the outcome of that review.
Why would we commit to hosting US subs through Henderson, which is due to start in 27, although they're coming now? Why would we do that?
Okay,
if the AUKUS deal falls over, and there's a lack of commitment from the US.
Oh, well, look, we know that it's an important part for the security of Australia that we have a strong alliance with the US, UK and other allies And we know that it's good for the Western Australian economy that we are part of the global supply chains which are part of the AUKUS partnership. So whether there's elements of this which are varied as a result of this particular review, the fact of the matter will remain. The US and the UK will need to have deploy their subs to Western Australia, that is HMAS Stirling, for the purposes of light maintenance and sustainment. They will need to continue to come here for depot maintenance as well, which is deeper maintenance programs. So we are confident of that. We will also know that the federal government will undertake its frigate construction and other surface vessel construction at Henderson. So that is where the big part for Western Australia comes from in relation to jobs. That's the Australian initiative. Now, further down the line, there is the procurement of Virginia-class subs and ultimately the development of the Australian constructed nuclear sub. Nuclear sub construction in Australia will take place in Adelaide, so they'll still need all the facilities that we have at Stirling. They'll still need the Henderson facility for surface vessel construction. Can also just say, as you know, the UK and the US has signalled that they want to see a big uplift in their submarine construction capacity. They can't do that without the supply chains that Australia offers, particularly around various parts of their componentry and other parts of their submarine fleet. So we will be hardwired into their global supply chain in relation to nuclear sub construction. So for Western Australia, the message is the same. There are huge economic opportunities coming from the AUKUS partnership. There are huge opportunities, particularly in jobs, for Western Australians to be part of our defence construction industry. And there's huge opportunities for Western Australia as we become one of the global centrepieces of global security.
The fact that some elements...
AUKUS obviously creates a lot of tension with our biggest trading partner, China. Do you see any kind of upside to it being resolved in terms of better trade relations with China?
Well, we have got better trade relationships with China now because of the Albanese Labor government has normalised the relationship with China. So you now see huge opportunities when it comes to coal, barley, wine, lobsters. That's all important for Western Australia, and of course China continues to be an important partner as part of our export activity, particularly in relation to iron ore. It's a complex, deep and long-term relationship, and all these elements go into to inform that relationship. That's why we need a government in Canberra that can continue to support that complex relationship that we have with China and other trading partners.
Just easier to navigate though without nuclear US nuclear submarines down there.
Well, look, all these things would be easier to navigate if we didn't have globally uncertain times, if we weren't in such a geopolitically sensitive area, if you didn't have Russia invading Ukraine, if you didn't have the instability that we see right across the globe. But the fact of the matter is that's what we have, and that's why you need to navigate these uncertain waters very carefully.
Just having a review on the table, though, is a risk, isn't it? And some American commentators are already saying, John Bolton has said this morning, that it is a step towards total cancellation of AUKUS.
Oh, well, look, and the UK government undertook a review, and obviously they continue to be an important part of the AUKUS partnership. But for Western Australia, the facts of the matter will remain. They'll need to continue to have a forward base in relation to HMAS Stirling, where they will sustain and maintain the subs with the support of the Western Australian defence industries. The Australian federal government will continue to have a surface vessel construction program, which will rely upon the Henderson facility and Western Australia's defence industry. And of course, we want to be the owners and operators and ultimately the constructors of nuclear subs, and the US and UK need Australian and Western Australian industry to be part of that global supply chain. So the fact of the matter remains, if the US is going to have their uplift in relation to expansion of their fleet, they're going to need to depend upon Australian suppliers to be part of that supply chain.
How is it that the Department of Water and Environmental Regulation doesn't know how much groundwater is being pulled from WA each year, nor whether it's being pulled illegally? And are you confident enough changes have been made to monitor this and make those changes?
Well, to that last point, I am confident that the Department of Water is doing everything it needs to do to understand the impact of our aquifer draw and from both the government and in industry. As a result of the Auditor General's report some years ago, we have established the Assurance Division inside the Department of Water, which is about both two things. One is monitoring the draw on our aquifers, and secondly is to monitor and to regulate those people who have licences to take from those aquifers. So that's work which is been undertaken, and it's very important work.
It's a pretty damning report, though. The Auditor General found, made comments that they have no clue what they're doing and they're not doing enough.
Yeah, well, that's not true, but the fact of the matter is that we've responded to the Auditor General's report through our Assurance Division inside the Department of Water, and that work is ongoing, and I think the Auditor General has acknowledged that significant work has taken place since her report some years ago.
Which bit's not true? They don't know what they're doing?
No, yeah, that's right.
Well,
Of course they know what they're doing.
Well,
I mean, and that's why...
She panned the results. I mean, it was a damning report. You can't
The report...
unless
Well, let's put this into context. So the Auditor General made a report into the Department of Water, criticised their monitoring and understanding of the draw from our aquifers. We established the Assurance Division inside the Department of Water, which is undertaking that work now. So that is what you want. The Auditor General to be able to assist departments to identify weaknesses, and for those departments to respond by putting programs and measures in place in response to that report.
Like compliance is an issue as well. Like of the 12,000 licences to draw 4 trillion litres of groundwater water per year, only 5 or 6% were monitored during that period. Is it staffing? Do you have enough staff to be monitoring compliance?
Well, certainly workforce issues was part of the challenge in the early stages of this part of the program, but those challenges have been overcome, and we're continuing to build out that assurance division so we have better line of sight and better regulation.
Are you concerned that the TAFE International WA did not follow its procedure of returning that student, because we look at that policy and what actually happened? It's not followed word by word. Even if she did something wrong, which she hasn't in this case, the department has to give her 20 days in response on a letter. They didn't do that.
Well, my understanding is that the student in question is back in Western Australia. She's undertaking her studies, and we're very pleased with that.
Premier, this morning the family of Samarian Brooking have spoken out and have called for a coronial inquest. I understand the Health Minister didn't go as far as supporting an inquest, and she says that it's her view to help the parents and guardians get answers. Are you supportive of a coronial inquest?
Oh, look, I'm supportive of any decision that the Coroner's Court makes, and ultimately whether a decision to have an inquest in relation to that death is undertaken is a question for the Coroner's Court, not for government. But can I just say, any death, any adverse clinical outcome in the context of a hospital, particularly a children's hospital, is a very sad and tragic affair. And our hearts go out to that family, and we know that family wants answers. We know that family wants to know that it won't happen to another family, and that's one of the key outcomes that we look to get. Now, if the Coroner's Court makes a decision to hold an inquest, I would welcome that, and I hope that would provide that family with answers and some closure.
Premier, Woodside is due to respond to the conditions imposed on the North West Shelf extension by close of business tomorrow.
Okay.
Have you received any update as to whether they've requested an extension or how those negotiations are going?
No update. Obviously, the conversations between Woodside and the Commonwealth are for them. We've ticked off on our part of the North West Shelf extension, and the Commonwealth is now clearly stepping through those processes for their final decision.